In this video we're going to talk about nature and the nature of nature, just generally what nature is all about. And so, to begin with, it's kind of ironic that I'm in a apartment right now inside of an edifice, something that is regarded in our culture as outside of nature or separate from nature. And this is not the case. In actuality, nature is just reality. We can't escape nature, no matter how hard we try, which in Western culture, Western civilization, that's pretty much what we have bound ourselves to doing, is to separate ourselves, dominating, really, nature. And so, this is not the case. We have there is no boundary between nature. We have not found a sort of salvation from the survival mode, survivalist mentality. If anything, the world of money and empire and so forth have created only a new kind of jungle, a new kind of wild. And so the reality is that nature is everywhere, and everything that we create is a product of nature, because we are nature. We are reality experiencing itself. There is no boundary. There is no separation between ourselves and our creations and the natural world around us. The issue here is that we have created this ideology of our own making, which is the separation of humanity from nature, and in so doing we have begun to destroy the planet because of our psychological really just incongruency with the reality. And so everything that we create is a product of nature, as I said. Evolution did not end with our opposable thumbs. And it does not end even with our imagination. It continues on, and it will always continue on. It is a function of reality. Evolution is a function of time, change. It's the nature of reality to change. And so the beauty of nature is that it has so much to teach us. It has an immense amount to teach us. Even just a tree, something as simple, at least what we consider to be simple, as a tree, has immense potential for educating us about the nature of reality. And how is this possible? What can we learn from a tree? Well, if you examine a tree, it has a sort of fractal quality to it in the first place. Why is a tree beautiful? Well, because it's not linear, because it's not a square, because it's not a triangle, because it doesn't have the conventional platonic geometric shape to it as most of our creations do, like buildings and so forth. So the idea is that fractals have a lot to teach us, as well as just the natural structures in all of quote-unquote God's creation. And me, myself, being a panentheist, panentheist, which means basically that I believe that God, or the universe, is God, and that God, or the universe, is everything, both inwardly and outwardly. So this means that you are an incarnation of God, and the reality around you is an expression or incarnation of that God as well. And it is a fractal universe. And the fractal, I believe, is the thumbprint, as it were, of God, as it is considered in mathematics, actually. The Mandelbrot set fractal is considered to be the thumbprint of God. And why is it considered to be the thumbprint of God? Because it's evident in all structures. There are fractals in all of nature and in really all of reality. So this in and of itself is a very important thing to understand, that fractals make up our world, and that we can learn from the natural structures in nature by observing them, simply observing them, contemplating them. For instance, there was a time when I was a few years ago on some Hawaiian wood rose seeds I had ingested, and I went out into the morning, and I discovered very close to where I was a funeral home, which doesn't really have any significance to the story. It's just a part of it. The surroundings, there was a building around me and so forth, but the really important thing is that there was a bunch of trees there. and I started peeling the bark off of these trees. And I started to realize, as I was observing these trees, that these trees are not just what we think of them in a conventional sense. Trees, really, to the inhabitants upon them, are like an entire planet. An entire planet that is, they live on it. Bugs and other animals live on these structures, and the smaller they are, the more that it seems literally like a planet to them. It's really very incredible, and one of the things that I realized as I was on a hill. So as I looked off over this hill, I saw just this incredible expanse of trees, and it made me realize this planet is a universe. The fractal quality of that realization, it dawns on one that reality is far more complex, in a sense, than we could ever hope to realize. If this planet is in and of itself a kind of multi-dimensional reality, wherein we have two-dimensional creatures, bugs, ants, spiders, and so forth, living on this planetoid that is growing out of the surface of this planet. I mean, the sky is the limit as far as our comprehension and understanding of what the meaning of all of this is, and just the complexity of it all. So the other thing that I'd like to touch on is the fact that all of this reality that we're experiencing is a simulation. The simulation isn't as though it's fake, but it is something that is a fabrication out of the mind of something far greater. In Tom Campbell's book, My Big Toe, and in his lectures, he talks about the concept that, and this is also a Hermetic principle, the principle of mentalism, that the universe is actually a fabrication of a greater consciousness, and that consciousness is what men have called God throughout the centuries. And it isn't a father or even a mother. It isn't it. It is not either of the genders, although gender is also sort of a principle in the Hermetic teachings. But this is important to realize in the sense that reality isn't the Newtonian conventional concept of what it is. It's not the billiard ball, the billiard balls and so forth. I mean, there is a component of reality that fits into that rule set, but that is not the entirety of reality. Quantum physics and the new physics that's coming out, that's showing that reality is virtual, is dispelling these sort of misconceptions that history has led us to believe. And one of the things we have to consider also is that Newton himself was a hermeticist. He was an alchemist. So it's important for us to realize that the truth of our reality is much stranger than fiction or religion or virtually any other kind of institution could come up with. The reality is that we are incarnations. We are the avatars of a greater consciousness system. And we have to understand that nature itself is a network, a web, in which we are participants, sort of like the internet. And to really understand ourselves, we have to understand the nature of nature. Human nature is something that we have invented as an ideology to explain away our idiosyncrasies and our complexities as, oh, well, that's just human nature. In reality, the nature of human nature is far more complex and far less rational than we would hope to believe. The Enlightenment theories are showing the cracks as we speak, and we are starting to come to a new realization that reality and nature and ourselves are all interconnected directly, that we are the incarnations of the universe itself, and that we are the universe experiencing itself. We are nature loving and empathizing and reasoning with itself. And so this is a very powerful realization if we can come to understand it, and it does lead us to greater trust, reciprocity, love, empathy, and peace, ultimately. I believe that this is a valuable information concept for our generation particularly to come to an understanding of. The violence of our times must be met with an understanding and an appreciation of the nature of true reality. So with that, love, appreciation, and most importantly, agape. Peace.